I went looking for buildings that were smaller than 5,000 feet, because this is a 5,000-foot building. And I started at that building, and I drove in big circles until I found this one place that looked like it was 3,000 or 4,000 foot building, but it was a smaller lot than my lot, the lot that I was going to buy, and it was covered with cars and trucks. I could not park on the property. I had to park on the street. Now, if you got a parking problem outside, you got a people problem inside. Yeah. Okay. So I walked in, and I said to the receptionist, who was probably doubling as the bookkeeper and 2 or 3 other things, I'm here about the new office where you guys are moving. Who's in charge of that? And there was no confusion. She said, Pete. I said, Pete who? Pete down the hall. She didn't even know his name, or she at least didn't say it to me. So I walked down the hall. At the end of the hall, I looked at a guy, and I said, Pete? He said, yeah. I said, you need a building, I understand. I mean, there was no confusion. The only clue that I had that they needed a building was what? They had a parking problem. He said, yep. He says, you got one? I says, yes, I do. He said, let's go. He stood up, and we walked out of the building. We got in my car, and we drove to it. It took us all of a minute and a half because we were like 2 blocks away. I didn't have a key to the place. I couldn't get inside the gate. You know. We looked at it, we stood on the porch and looked through the window. And he says, this will do. I said, okay. I said, by the way, I said, I'm just under contract. That's why I don't have a key. I'm under contract to buy the property, but I need a partner in the deal. And if I had you for a partner, then we could get like an owner-occupant loan from a community bank. It'd be better interest rate and a higher loan. How would you like to be half partners with me? He said, well, I would, but I don't own the company. I said, who does own the company? He said, Joe. I said, let's go see Joe. And we did. And they signed up for it on the spot. Joe never even went to the property until after he'd agreed with me to be my partner. Now, that's like 3 stories in one. But parking, so in terms of industrial property, if I'm looking for tenants, I go look for people with parking problems. It's hard to tell sometimes with office buildings and so forth, but industrial property, real easy to tell. When somebody has a parking problem, they've got a space problem. And that's all I've ever done to look for tenants for industrial buildings. By the way, if you've been listening carefully, you know that that's how I bought it with no money down of my own. That's how I financed it. I got an owner-occupant to be my tenant. And that's how I rented it. And I found it by walking around, right? Think you could do that? Most of what I do is really, really easy. Because I'm really, really lazy. I wouldn't do anything that was a lot of hard work. I'm sorry? I did not keep the majority ownership. I offered him 50-50. He offered me 75-25. He took the 75. I took the 25. He put up all the money. He and I were both signed on the loan until he refinanced it and bought me out. He bought me out for $115,000. How much money did I have in it? 3 years later, I got $115,000. Is this a great country or what?